Hey everyone, this is Andy Sykes from Gizchina, and this is the Meizu MX4 Pro full review. Design-wise, the Meizu MX4 Pro is similar to the MX4, only with a larger 5.5-inch 2K plus display. It's also got a 5 megapixel front camera and new fingerprint scanner and home button. Design similarities continue onto the rear, which looks almost identical, only with a lighter metallic color, but it does have the same 20.7 megapixel camera and dual LED flash as the MX4. There are other differences too, and we'll go into those throughout the review. The Meizu MX4 Pro has features that make other phones weep. For example, the 5.5-inch 2K plus display is from JDI and has a full resolution of 2560 by 1536. That gives it a pixel density of 546 ppi. What's more, it has a Gorilla Glass 3 panel, and it also has negative LCD technology to give it really great viewing angles plus low power consumption. Resolutions are boosted again with the front 5 megapixel camera, which also have optimizations to improve low light functionality, plus that all-important beauty mode for selfies. Meizu really want you to focus on this 2K plus display, and just like the MX4 have really made narrow bezels on the MX4 Pro, this time around they're a little bit wider at 2.8mm, but they're still much narrower than competition's phones, making that MX4 feel like just a huge display in the palm of your hand. Meizu have added a physical home button with added fingerprint security, which adds a good deal of privacy and peace of mind to your Google accounts and your personal information. Like the MX4 Pro enjoys an aluminium construction, which gives it a really nice solid chassis and great feel in your hand or in your pocket. Other than the physical home button on the front of the phone, the only other physical controls are the volume rocker and the power button at the top of the phone. These are in the same position as on an iPhone, but on an Android device can sometimes mean a lot of accidental screenshots when you're getting used to it. Meizu tout the MX4 Pro as an audio phone, and have got really great hi-fi and audio components built in. However, externally there is only one single speaker, which although does go up to quite a great volume, is a little bit tinny when you crank up the tunes. Just as with the MX4, the rear panel of the MX4 Pro is removable. This time we do have NFC, and we've got a larger 3350 mAh battery, which can give about 9 hours of continued use. However, we've only got one space for a SIM card, 4G or 3G. There's no room for an SD card either. So if you do choose the MX4, try to get the largest possible memory size you can so you don't run out of space in the future. At 9mm thick, the MX4 Pro is slightly fatter than the MX4. Still, with a really nice rounded profile, it's very comfortable in your hand, and thanks to some really great optimizations in Flyme, the phone is really easy to use even one-handed. The MX4 Pro comes in international and Chinese version. The Chinese version only has options for English and Chinese, whereas the international version has Google Play support and a few other languages. As you can see here, I go into the languages and we've got English, Spanish, Chinese, French, and a few other languages there too. While I'm in the settings, I'll also show you the smart bar. As Meizu phones don't have capacitive buttons on either side of the chin, we have this adaptive smart bar instead. In the settings menu, we only have the option to go back. If I go into the gallery though, the smart bar changes and I have other options including edit, share and delete. If you do find yourself in an application that isn't supported by the smart bar, for example WhatsApp, sometimes that's issues with the smart bar, you can still go back by simply swiping up and up again, and that will take you back, step by step back. And again, obviously if you just want to go straight to home, you can just hit the physical home button and there you go. Now Meizu have really done a great job of creating a compact and comfortable phone to use, but it's still a little bit long. So Flyme has got some really great optimizations for one-handed support. For example, to get into your notifications, you don't need to reach right to the top. You can simply scroll down from in the middle or near the bottom of the page and your notifications and your toggles will open up. So you don't need to stretch all the way to the top, and which is a really great feature. Another great feature is the Smart Touch control. once turned on, a white dot will appear on your screen, which you can move around depending on where you want it. Personally, I like to have it on the right-hand side because it's in the right position for my thumb. Now, for example, I want to get into the Google search here, but I can't quite reach it. All I need to do is double tap that, and it brings it down so I can easily use it. Now, this works in other applications too. If I go into the gallery, and I want to look at if I go into the gallery here, where am I? Go back. And I want to reach this Lamborghini photo there, and I can't quite get it. Just double tap, and there you go. Hit it again, and it goes back up. Really, really great feature. Also, another nice feature of the Smart Touch is that you can swipe it from left to right, and that will take you through the applications that you've been previously using, and they're running in the background. Really, really nice little feature there. If I just turn that off. Another way we can get into our applications, our running applications should I say, is swiping up from the bottom, and that will show us all the apps that are running in the background. To clear them, I can simply swipe them up one by one, or I can delete them all like this. As you can see, we've got one still open because this application is locked. If I hold it down, the lock will disappear, and now I can clear it. So lots of great features in Flyme OS, some really good optimizations for one-handed use. Flyme have done a really great job with the Meizu MX4 Pro. The Meizu MX4 Pro comes with a 20.7 megapixel Sony Exmor camera. Now, Meizu claim that this camera can focus in just 0.3 seconds. And I found it a little bit slower than that, but still it's more than usable, and it takes some really great photos. As well as the automatic mode, we've got a manual mode for more professional settings. We've got a beauty mode, panoramic, light field, which basically takes a number of photos at different focal lengths and allows you to focus afterwards. We've got a fantastic night mode for really great low light photos, even without that dual tone flash. Barcode scanner, slow motion video record, and a micro spur, which is basically a macro mode, and then back into the auto mode. We've also got this really cool little blue arch, which tells you whether your phone is level or not while taking a photo. Now, photo quality is very, very good, but you do tend to have to take a few more photos to get the perfect one. Once you do get a good photo though, it's well on par with other camera-centric phones on the market today. The MX4 Pro also has a very good front-facing camera. In fact, it's much better than the one on the Meizu MX4. In this case, it's a 5 megapixel camera, and it takes some really good photos even in low light. You also have some different settings. We've got the automatic mode, we have a manual mode, and we also have the all-important beauty mode. And the beauty mode also has live changes, so I can change my skin level, I can make myself smoother, I can slim my face, and it actually happens on screen while the camera is looking at me. I can make my face whiter as well, and I can even make my eyes bigger. So that's all live preview there on the phone, which for me is not very useful, but it's a cool little feature. It also looks like we have other settings on here as well, but if I swipe to the next one, the panoramic mode, it goes to the rear camera. So we've only got those 3 features there on the front camera, but they are very, very good features. Meizu may have gone for a MediaTek processor in the MX4, but for the MX4 Pro we've got a Samsung Exynos 5430 processor. Now, a lot of people are concerned about this 20nm processor because it's the same processor that runs the Galaxy Alpha. And that's only a 720 phone. The MX4 Pro is a 2K plus phone. But still, with 3 GB of RAM, the 20nm processor does very, very well, and gaming is very smooth. It's not as powerful in benchmarks as the Meizu. As you can see, Antutu scores, the MX4 is still #1. But overall, gaming performance is fine, as we'll see here. Have a quick go of real drift. If that lets me. Okay. You can also hear the sound as well. You can see it's quite loud, and it's a little bit tinny in this case. I'm going to turn it down. Smooth graphics. I mean, this is not the most graphically intensive game in the world, but it runs very, very well on the MX4 Pro. smooth video, and as you can hear, the music isn't bad as well, but if you crank it up, it does get a little bit tinny. So overall, performance is pretty good on the Meizu MX4 Pro, but there is a little bit of a heat generation on the back of the phone, which should be aware of, and hopefully will be fixed with future Flyme 4.1 updates. Now, one feature that Meizu did make a song and dance about at the launch was the fact that the Meizu MX4 Pro is a music-centric device with some really powerful audio hi-fi processors in here. We've got an ESS ES9018K2M decoder, a Texas Instrument OPA 1612 amplification chip, and passive filter technology. Lots of cool stuff in there. And if you go in the settings, we've got hi-fi settings here, which will work once you've plugged in a set of earphones. And basically, this setting here, this hi-fi sound setting, is designed for when you plug in headphones. It's meant to automatically choose the optimal setting for those earphones. Anyway, obviously you can't hear the music with earphones in, but we can test the external speaker. So I've downloaded some royalty-free music. Let's have a listen to that. Now this is a single speaker. And as you can see here, it's quite clear, but a little bit tinny. And the louder we put it, the more tinny it gets. So although music sound is pretty good through a set of earphones, it's not amazing through the external speaker. And we'll turn it up for you. So as you can hear, it's a loud speaker, but it is a little bit tinny. What's unfortunate about this is, although on the Meizu MX4, while it's playing, we can go back. We do have an option for an equalizer, but unfortunately the equalizer will only work when you're using headphones. So there's no way of tweaking the sound to improve that tinniness if you're using the external speaker. Perhaps that will change with a newer version of Flyme. So that's the Meizu MX4 Pro. In a nutshell, it's a pretty good phone. It has some amazing software. Flyme 4.1 is really good. There's some really great features on Flyme, especially good for one-handed use. We've got a really good camera application on there. The rear camera itself is pretty good, but you need to work at getting that perfect photo. The front camera is very good too. 2K plus display, it's great. Is it much better than a 1080 display? I would say no, not really, but it is a really nice crisp display, and it doesn't seem to upset the battery performance at all, which is around 2 days if you're really lucky, well over a day and a half for most usage. So any things to look out for? Well, Flyme is still a little buggy now and again, and there's a few odd translations in there, but like I say, those things should be fixed in the future. So overall, we've got quite a powerful phone, we've got a really great ROM, we've got a pretty good camera, great screen, great battery life, nice secure features there on the Touch ID, good quality build. Overall, the MX4 Pro is a really great phone. International pricing is a little bit high for the phone compared to the Chinese price, but if you do want something a little bit different, if you want the best high-end specs available at the moment today, and you want to try out Flyme OS, and I have to say it is worth trying, the MX4 Pro is a really great phone if you can afford it. I hope you enjoyed that. That's the Meizu MX4 Pro review. We'll have an Oppo N3 review very soon, an Oppo R5 review, and a Jiayu S3, plus a Huawei Honor 6 Plus review. So loads of reviews coming up. If you've got any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try my best to answer you as soon as possible. Thanks all for your time, and see you all soon.